This happened many years ago, where I was still in college and lived away from my hometown, away from my family. I used to go home and spend my holidays, and at that age, growing up, we, as in my brother and I, used to share a room. But ever since I left the house to continue to college, I found out privacy really matters, and sharing a room is not an option anymore. So when the holidays come, I'll just crash the living room. It was a mid-semester break, and I got a week holiday, and I thought it would be a great idea to spend a week break back in my hometown with my family, and maybe I could meet up my old high school friends. I took the evening bus since it was the cheapest and the fastest bus available. I got into intercity bus at 6 p.m. and get back into my hometown at 10 p.m. I told my family that I will be going home that night. As I reached my hometown, as usual, and as anybody said, your hometown never changed. But even though I was happy, still the bus ride was very exhausting. It was fast because the bus launches in the freeway furiously, avoiding hitting the brakes, and as every turn makes me nauseous. And as I reached my destination, oh, how my old town greets me, with how the smog filled the night air as I went out from the bus. Ah yes, that's my hometown I know. From the bus terminal, I took another mini bus ride to my old house. After I reached the main street, I took a 5-minute walk. It was, as always, different from the main part of town. There, I could still see the old house since childhood. There are houses that was made from the 70s. It never changed the roof, the front door, even the front gate. So much for security, I guess. But that means my old hometown are filled with good, same people, as they never felt any threat to improve the security. As I reach my old house, the lights are still on. People inside still waiting for me. And as I went inside, my family greeted me. Directly, they took me to the dinner table. The food was already prepared, only for me. Or to be exact, the food was left only for me. And as it was only me who ate alone in the dinner table, everybody scattered up to the toilet and their room, getting ready to go to sleep. As for me, I took one last look around at my old house, searching if there is anything changed. It's weird though, even when I just left my old house a few months, it felt like I've left for ages. I guess checking around the house is a way for me to know have I been gone for long enough? And I have the answer right away as I saw the living room ceiling. You see, my house consisted of 2 floors and the living room ceiling was way up to the second floor ceiling. So the second floor had a railing so you could see downstairs the living room. A mezzanine if you could say so. As I looked up to the ceiling, there, a big hole. At first glance, I thought it was the big black patch of paint on the ceiling, as if someone started to paint but just stopped as he begins. But as I look closer, it is indeed a hole so dark I thought it was a black paint. I asked my family member what caused the hole on the ceiling. It was made by an accident. My brother went up above the ceiling to check the leaking roof tiles, and as he went there, somehow, because it was dark that he can't see well, and also it was too damp, the sweat caught up in his eyes, he tripped, fell, and made the hole as it was now. That night was particularly cool, as my brother joked about since the hole was there, a draft could come into the house and cools down the living room. At that moment, cold night was the least of my worries, I told to myself. So then I placed my belongings to my shared room in the second floor. As I went up, my eyes are locked to the hole and stared at it for a moment and just dropped my heavy bag, as if I can augment my focus to the hole, and it kind of did. As I stand and stare greatly into the hole, to the imprecise, ragged, damaged edge of the hole, still at that range, it was still too dark to see through the hole, and for some reason, that worries me. Suddenly, my brother snapped me out of it and told me he's going to fix it soon, but the roof fixer can't do it right away. Then he went to his room, which left the living room all to myself. I took my futon bed out and spread it on the living room floor, took a few of my stuff like books and handphone with me, and neatly placed beside me. As I lay my back on the nearly flat futon, my gaze directly went into the hole, and strangely enough, I felt like it was staring back. There, my house, with a one-night ceiling. To sleep, I needed to calm myself down. The clock shows 11:30 p.m. and yet I couldn't get myself drowsy. In fact, it was the opposite. I was in escape mode of how my brain interpreted this as an object that could threaten my life. I keep saying to myself, it's just a hole. What possibly could come out from there? At that instant, my mind itself answered my own questions with much more possibilities. There goes my mind with flight or fight response. At last, after 1.5 hours, I tired my eyes going back and forth from closing my eyes and gazing back to the hole, and I could finally fall asleep. It was a hazy sleep, not knowing the limit of dream and awake, and suddenly I was back in the living room. With few lights left turned on, it was quiet, and as I want to move, I couldn't. My body was locked in the positions facing up, and I couldn't help myself but only to see up to the ceiling, watching the hole as it, somehow, transformed into something alive. Then, a black smoke started to emerge ever so slowly, like it was a black transparent satin moving inside the water, slowly moving, like it knows it's being watched. Each time it moves, it pauses again. Each time it moves, it pauses again, like a predator behind the bushes, preying on me. Then, after a few minutes, it doesn't care anymore if it was seen. It doesn't care anymore, 'cause maybe it knows. It knows that I can't do anything to it. As if it knows and ready to taunt my helplessness. Then, suddenly, a black shadowy figure goes out from the hole. It spins around the living room ceiling like a black veil inside a washer. Then it stopped and gently descends towards me. And as it hovers, it touches me just at the tip of its body. It sends light electric shocks to my skin, but enough to send shivers to my spine. I wanted to close my eyes. I wanted to shout for help. Then I discover it paralyzed me. And as I look straight to it, forcefully, it stares back. How do I know that? Because from that black and dark veil, something emerged. Its eyes. I felt sudden warmth through my body, then slowly, limb by limb, my body started to feel a coldness. As it starts from my feet and slowly to my waist, I could feel as if the waist down of my body is gone. Is this what amputated feels? Then slowly, I started to lose my arms, and it stops at my head. I am now just a piece of head lying on floor, staring at those eyes. As the black veils are opened, its eyes are now shown, staring back at me. What terrifies me the most is that those eyes seemed so fake, just like staring at glass eyes. It's there for an ornament, masking the real hideous figure. Like an anglerfish with its glowing part of its head as a bait, and while the prey mesmerize, it will strike at any moment. For minutes we stare, and none of us blinked, as its eyes sending fright. Suddenly, it moves again, upward to the ceiling, and quickly went inside the hole again. Then I could feel my lungs again, as I gasp for air and finally wake up. I look around and see the same atmosphere, the somber lights, the silence, even the fright that instills in my body. I flap both of my hands in effort to throw away the nervousness. I looked up to the ceiling, and the hole was there. I had to see it to believe it, so that I can retrace at which moment the nightmares occurs. Because for all we know, maybe the nightmare started long before I got to my old house. Who knows? Maybe I haven't even left my studio yet. I checked my handphone and showed 3 a.m., the witching hour, the golden hour for ghouls and nightmare creatures, as the horror lore said. From that hour, I haven't catch any sleep. My body was full of adrenaline, and in no way in this state, rest is an option. As the dusk light slowly fills the living room, my eyes finally shuts down on itself. If I was still in a staring contest with those fake eyes, right now I will probably lose. But thank God, as of right now, losing felt so great, as I can rest these real eyes of mine.